Burn the body, black out the record. Bury the light. That was the plan. Wipe a whole life in a single night. Now watch it come back. Now watch it. Watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it. Now watch it come back. Start with a girl that history barely bothered the name. Kept in the margin, a footnote they left in the frame. Frost on her childhood, her father lower too young. Raised on the record, their kingdoms unwritten, unsung. Handed a palace that wanted her silent and small. She read every shadow, she measured every wall. Buried the sun after 5 short days in her arms. Folded the grief into iron and armed all the alarms. Outlasted a region, now thought a whole court in the crown. Played czars against emperors and never once sat down. Till the blades came at dawn and the courtyard ran red. And they burned what they killed so the story would stay unsaid. GayaBap. You cannot burn a name that means light. GayaBap. 19 chapters of dark, then it's bright. They wrote her out, we put her back tonight. Every empire that touched her is dust. She survived the fight. A gate that swung shut on a dynasty. A funeral with an empty box. An island 2 empires bled for a lamp that refused to go out. And a fox hunt. At the very end of it all. You want the how? It starts on track 2. Stay for all 20. Watch a nameless girl earn a name that outlives the men who burned it. By this chronicle all the way to the reveal. You're one of us, so put a hand up and shout it back. GayaBap. They tried to burn her. Light doesn't burn. This is GayaBap. Yeoju, 1851. A famous family name on a cold and empty house. This is where it starts. This is where it starts. Big name on the gate, but the rooms were barren. No, the gravekeeper's cottage was the whole story she was told. A line once had a queen in the palace way back when. Now they tended the dead and counted the rice again. Father taught her letters before the world taught her grief. The soul hacking the history, she read past all belief. Loved the record most, how a throne is won and lost. How a strong house rises, and what a sovereign really cost. 8 years old, they carried her father to the hill. She watched the whole burial right and stood there still. No brother at her side, no shield, no backing name. Just a widow and the girl and the weight of the same. Moved to the capital house where a past queen used to stay. Cold walls of gamgo dang, learning to survive and wait. Other kids at fathers had a future bought and sold. She had books full of fallen kings and the mind gone cold. She learned it from the ghosts of the ones who lost the crown. Every soft king, every proud house that the years brought down. Ghosts of fallen kings taught her how the game is played. Watch who holds the knife, watch who gets betrayed. A famous name means nothing if the house is bare, so she studied every downfall like it happened right there. Ghosts of fallen kings, ghosts of fallen kings. She read how power dies before she learned what power brings. Up in the palace, a king had died and left nowhere. One clan had run the country like they owned the air. A regent seized the moment, took the boy king's hand. Swore no in-law house would ever again hold the land. So we needed a bride with no faction, no war chest, no clan. And down in the cottage, a book set the perfect plan. She didn't hear the hoofbeats yet, but the histories were clear. The ones they call harmless are the ones you should fear. Candlelight on the pages, the winners came. And when she memorized how empires cracked and where the money went. Not a daughter of power, not a prize, not a threat. Just the quietest reader the court had ever met. She traced how a soft hand loses and the patient hand wins. How the meek get chosen right before the real game begins. Somewhere a list was drawn and a name was on it. To a girl with an empty house was the safe bet they moved to. Ghosts of fallen kings taught her how the game is played. Watch who holds the knife, watch who gets betrayed. A famous name means nothing if the house is bare, so she studied every downfall like it happened right there. Ghosts of fallen kings, ghosts of fallen kings. She read how power dies before she learned what power brings. They were looking for the safest bride in the kingdom. No father, no brother, no army, no claim. They thought that made her harmless, They were about to hand a student of dead kings a living throne. They wanted a bride who would never make a sound. 16, no father, no faction, no ground. Empty, they said empty, they were sure. Nobody checked what the empty was for. The old regent ran the board, the boy king wore the crown. He smashed the marriage clans that could ever take him down. No powerful father-in-law, no in-laws with a claim. He wanted a bride with nothing behind her but a name. Scanned the noble daughters for the one who couldn't fight. No brothers, no faction, no money, no bite. A 16-year-old orphan from a cottage by the graves. Perfect, he thought, she'll owe me, she'll behave. 3 rounds of selection, she moved through every gate. Calm where the others trembled, reading her own fate. Palanquin to the palace, the ceremony grand. The queen with an empty house and a very steady hand. They crowned her for her weakness, they picked her to be small. Gave her a silent seat in the spot against the wall. But a girl raised on fallen kings knows a throne room cold. She took the safe bride label and she let the trap unfold. They wanted empty, empty was the whole design. Nope, nobody stopped to check if empty had a spine. The safe bride, the one who couldn't win. No father, no faction, no army marching in. They chose her for the nothing they were sure they saw. But empty has teeth and the safe bride had claws. Yeah. The safe bride, the harmless little bet. The safest choice they made was the worst one yet. Wedding night, the 15-year-old king never came at all. He was with the favored consort down the palace hall. She sat alone in silk with the candles burning low. Filed it away in her mind and never let things go. No tears, no scene, no begging for a place. Just a cold and patient study of every single face. The regent watched his safe bride, she read her right. Never saw the student measure in the room that night. The whole court exhaled, the dangerous seat was filled with the quiet bookish girl who do just what she's willed. They stopped watching the corner where the safe bride sat, and that was the opening, that was exactly that. She learned the names, the debts, the grudges, who owed who, which minister was hungry, which Allah would come through. They gave her silence, so she used it like a blade, counting every player while they forgot the game she'd played. The safe bride, the one who couldn't win. No father, no faction, no army marching in. They chose her for the nothing they were sure they saw. But empty has teeth and the safe bride had claws. Yeah. The safe bride, the harmless little bet. The safest choice they made was the worst one yet. They handed her the coldest side of the throne and called it mercy. Alone ignored married to a man who wouldn't come. Good. Alone is where she does her best work. 16 and crowned. Alone in silk with no one there. The palace was hers, and the palace was empty. Wedding night, candles burning, silk laid out on the floor. She waited for a boy king who was never at the door. He was down the palace hallway with a favorite girl instead. Left his queen sitting up alone in the cold and quiet bed. No tears, no scene, no message begging him to stay. She folded up the silence and she filed the night away. Learned the palace hallways by the way the servants moved. Who bowed lower to who, every hierarchy proved. 1868, a favorite consort had a son in spring. Gave a firstborn prince to a boy king, wearing a ring. Not a son, not a name, not a cradle, not a crown. The regent threw the party of the century in town. Called the dynasty secure, called the future finally safe. Carried the baby high, said the throne now had a base. Never once turned his head to the queen who watched it all. Just a footnote at the back of every banquet hall. The cold side of the throne, the cold side of the throne. Sitting in the palace, sitting there alone. The cold side of the throne is where a queen goes to think. Warm side wants a party, cold side needs to drink. The cold side of the throne, where the ignored take note. Counting every whisper, every promise, every vote. While they laughed, she cataloged the debts and the friends. Which minister was hungry, which alliance never bends. The regent read her silence like a woman who complied. Never once suspected there's a study in her eyes. She watched the favorite consort, watched the baby they adored. Watched the regent gambling that he never need a sword. Cold side of the throne is where the observers grow. You can't beat what you don't watch, so she watched it slow. They gave her a title and forgot she was in the room. Bad move. A queen who's been forgotten remembers everything. 3 years of the cold seat, 3 years of the ignored, 3 years of a boy king who preferred a different bed. Then she had a son of her own, a prince that lasted the air on for 5 short days. The light and the heat were finally there. The palace held its breath, the succession seemed remade. The queen who wasn't a queen was finally repaid. 5 short days on the warm side. After all that time, 5 short days, and the whole story turned on a dime. The cold side of the throne, the cold side of the throne. Sitting in the palace, sitting there alone. The cold side of the throne is where a queen goes to think. 5 short days, the warm side was hers before the brink. The cold side of the throne, where the ignored take note. 5 days on the warm side, then a hand reached for her throat. 5 days, a newborn prince in her arms. The palace calling her mother, warm at last. 5 days, and then a bowl of medicine arrived from her father-in-law. Track 5. Five days of light and a bowl and cold. A cradle emptied out before the boy was old. They handed her a coffin and expected her to fold. She folded it to iron and she wore it like gold. Nobody says the word for what a spoonful can do. A fever climbing higher while a no man watched it through. She stood above the silence where her heartbeat used to be. Didn't beg the sky for mercy, just began to keep the key. Every morning at the coffin wore their grief like Sunday best. She clocked the ones performing from the ones who couldn't rest. Grief's the house, you burn it down or move your whole life in. She moved and bolted the door and let the drying begin. So she quit knocking on the door, a boy king wouldn't turn. Quit waiting on a warmth that was never gonna burn. Started meeting where the lamplight left the corners of the hall. Started numbering the houses that a strong man made too small. Every clan he broke was a grudge he let go dry. Every silent scholar kept the cold behind the eye. Didn't need him to be righteous, didn't need him to be true. Just needed hands that hated him as sure as hers now knew. Build it in the dark where the daylight never learns. Count your friends among the ashes of the ones a strong man burns. Keep it calm on the surface, keep the ledger in the black. Then never fear the quiet room until the room fights back. Build it in the dark, build it in the dark. A widow with a grudge and a candle leaves. No banner and no herald, just a whisper down the hall. Just a cup filled at the hour when the right man came to call. The broken houses leaning close, the silence sharpened pens. Even the strong man's blood was sick of playing pretend. He was throwing golden parties for a favorite consort's son. So sure the board was frozen, so sure the thing was won. He counted every soldier standing plain beneath the sun. She built inside the shadow where he never thought to run. That's how a woman with an empty cradle builds an army. Not with a scream, with a guest list. 2 years of tea, 2 years of ink. And every cup she poured was a brick in the wall. He couldn't see, his grip was iron sharp, but iron's got a flaw. It rushed from every raindrop that it never even saw. He held the throne so tight, he never turned to face the patient, studying thing that grew without a trace. She wasn't raising banners, she was banking up a debt, collecting every enemy the strong man will forget. He kept his eyes on daylight and the numbers he could name. She built it in the dark until the dark became the game. Build it in the dark where the daylight never learns. Count your friends among the ashes of the ones a strong man burns. Keep it calm on the surface, keep the ledger in the black. By the time he turns to look, the quiet room is at his back. Build it in the dark, build it in the dark. A widow with a grudge, and a candle left a mark. He had 11 years of power, and a country in his fist. She had a memory of a bow, and a 2-year running list. He never felt the pen that she'd been sharpening all along. Track 6 lets her breathe, track 7 proves him wrong. 5 days of light in a life spent in the cold. 5 small mornings for a hand too small to hold. She never got to teach him how the world could turn to gold. 5 days of light, and she carries them untold. Yeah. He arrived like a sunrise breaking through the palace silk. One small crack cracked the quiet and it filled her up with milk. The court bent low to a future that had finally come sure, and a boy king crossed the courtyard to the heir that he'd secured. For 3 short mornings the throne room felt like home. 3 short mornings that she wouldn't be alone. Yeah. Then a shadow climbed the wall on the 4th cold day, and a spoon arrived from a man who swore he'd raise the king this way. She watched the medicine go down past the little parted lips, watched the color leave the cheeks, watched the small chest start to skip. By the 5th gray dawn there was nothing left to hold, just a bundle wrapped in silk, gone and possibly cold. No scream escaped the chamber, no wail bled through the door, just a mother learning silence like she'd never known before. She wrote his name on a slip that was thinner than a breath, and folded it inside a sash to carry past his death. No shrine, no public mourning, no permission asked to grieve, just a paper on her heartbeat that she'd never let them leave. Every ledger that she opened, every name she came to keep, every ally that she gathered while the palace fell asleep, was for a hand that closed on a 5th and final day. He lit a coal inside her that would never burn away. Grief is a coat that a queen learns to wear, heavy on the shoulders but it keeps out the air. She doesn't drown beneath it now, she drinks it like a tea, turns the ache into the reason she refuses to be free. Some carry loss like an anchor pulling under the tide. She carried hers like a compass, kept it burning inside. 5 days of light in a life spent in the cold. 5 small mornings, and she made them into gold. The world would never see the fire that she'd hold. 5 days of light, and the light became the road. Some mothers lose a child and never speak again. Some lose a child and let it burn the world.
She chose a third thing. She chose to build a country in a name he'd never hear. Track 7 is where she cuts the cord.
11 years he held the string that made the country dance. She spent 2 of them just waiting for a single opening glance. No army at her back, no throne beneath her hand, just a pen she'd been sharpening to cut him from the land. The boy on the throne grew tall enough to be a man, old enough to hold the country in his own 2 hands. No reason left for a middleman to sit between the seat. No excuse for a strongman still deciding every street. She placed the sharpest scholar like a stone across the board, warmed him at every gate until the year she pulled the cord. When the moment finally opened, she just breathed a single word. Now write the thing that cannot ever be unheard. The letter hit the throne room like a stone into a pond. The king has come of age, so let the guardian be gone. No plan behind the writer, no palace strings to pull, just a righteous pen and the truth the court could feel go full. The strongman's men move faster, tear the writer's rank away. She moved faster, held him standing, lifted him that day. Straight into the room where the real decisions get made, and every watching noble smelled the turning of the tray. Cut the cord, cut the cord. 11 years of iron and the letter did the work no sword could afford. The one they called the safe bride, the harmless quiet bed. She wrote a strong man out of power, and she never raised a threat. No army at the gates, no banner in the storm, just a pen against a puppeteer, and the pen came out warm. GayaBap! A second letter followed and it cut a little deep. 11 years of a guardian left a country it can't keep. The boy king read it slowly and the boy king finally saw his father's grip was iron, but iron isn't law. A long talk in the lamplit room where only 2 could hear. The son who'd been a shadow made his own intentions clear. No order shouted outward, no decree nailed to the wall, just a private gate a strongman used, not bolted after all. No trumpet and no scaffold, no announcement in the square, just a locked door where his footsteps used to own the air. You don't have to raise your voice to end the rain you can't abide. You just close the door he walks through and you let him wait outside. By dawn the ministers understood the message of the lock. 11 years of a strongman ended quiet as a clock. He rode off to a country house with all its gold intact. She stayed exactly where she'd sat, and she never looked back. He kept his name, he kept his estates, he kept his gold. He just couldn't come to work anymore. That's how you fire the most powerful man in the country, without ever saying the word. Cut the cord, cut the cord. 11 years of iron and the letter did the work no sword could afford. The one they called the safe bride, the harmless quiet bed. She wrote a strong man out of power, and she never broke a sweat. No army at the gates, no banner in the storm, just a pen against a puppeteer, and the pen came out warm. GayaBap! He sat in a country garden, staring at a life he didn't choose. She sat in a palace, staring at a country she now moved. He'd spend the next 20 years trying to climb back through that gate, and every single time he tried, she'd be standing there, awake. Round 1 to the quiet one. Round 1, round 2 starts on track 8. Yeah. 13 months and not a coin in an old soldier's hand, while the new drilled favorites ate the best in the land. Same uniform for years, same empty rice, and a country building shiny guns and paying a price. They finally threw the old guard a sack of overdue pay, but the rice was cut with sand and it rotted on the way. Weevils in the ration, half a measure in the sack. You don't hand a starving army an insult and turn your back. The powder went acquired in the barracks courtyard first. The shove became a beating and the beating became the worst. Years of being the leftover, the used up and the poor, and the men who drilled the country's guns came kicking down the door. They rode out of the barracks like a fire down the street, found the granary, the armory, and everyone to beat. They burned the foreign legation, they tore the palace wide, hunting for the family they blamed blame for the divide. And old Strowman in the shadows watched the fury he could use. Whisper to the mob the very names they wanna lose. The blame rolled to a queen and to the king she raised so high. And the barracks came for the palace under a burning sky. Blood in the barracks, blood in the square. 13 months of empty and it's finally in the air. You can starve a loyal soldier till the loyal turns to smoke. Count the coins you never paid him when the powder keg broke. Blood in the barracks, blood on the throne. The debt you left unsettled came collecting on its own. They came through every gateway with a torch and a blade. And the ones who ran the treasury were the price the mob had weighed. A minister who'd handled the rotten sack of pay was thrown down the stone stairs on that red and screaming day. The queen was the target, the prize the mob had named. The rooms were torn to pieces, her ladies in waiting maimed. And no man let the storm run, let the palace fall apart. He'd been waiting 11 years to plant a knife in the char. The men who broke his regency were burning in the yard. The queen who cut his cord was hunted through her own halls. And the strong man who'd been fired stood in the smoke and called it a homecoming. Blood in the barracks, blood in the square. 13 months of empty and it's finally in the air. You can starve a loyal soldier till the loyal turns to smoke. Count the coins you never paid him when the powder keg broke. Blood in the barracks, blood on the throne. The debt you left unsettled came collecting on its own. Yeah. The mob was in her hallway. Her name was in their mouths. And the queen who never panicked did the one thing left to do. She reached for a servant's dress and a soldier's steady back. Track 9. She disappears. Torches in the corridor. Her name is in the air. No time left for a title when the mob is on the stair. Strip the silk, forget the crown, become somebody small. The queen who ran a country's got to vanish down the hall. A guardsman with a steady back knelt low beside the door. Said, climb on, keep your face down, don't be royal anymore. She traded silk for cotton and a servant's plain disguise. Folded up a decade of command behind her eyes. Out through the screaming courtyard where the blades were swinging wide. Just a soldier and his sister trying to stay alive. Anyone who stopped him, he had one thing he could say. My sister's sick, we'll leave and let a poor man through the day. Past the burning legation, past the bodies in the square. Past the men who kill a queen if they knew she was there. Every gate a gamble, every guard a rolling dice. A woman who ran an empire, playing peasant to survive. No entourage, no soldiers, no banner overhead. Just to borrow back to carry her in a story that she's dead. They let the sister through the gate, too sick to be a threat. Never knowing what a peasant dress and a bowed head. Can't forget, the sister on his back, the sister on his back. The whole town hunting for a queen and she's a peasant in a sack. They tore apart the palace looking high up on the throne. She walked right through the checkpoint as a nobody unknown. The sister on his back, playing dead to stay alive. You can't kill a queen you can't find. So she vanished to survive. Miles of dirt and hiding, sleeping rough beneath the trees. A queen who dined in palaces now begging on her knees. Down to a country village where a loyal household stayed. A hidden room, a bolted door, a debt about to be repaid. She didn't waste the silence, she didn't waste the fear. She started sending letters that the right hands had to hear. Playing dead in the farmhouse while the capital assumed the queen had burned nothing in the torched and blackened room. The court declared her dead. They held a funeral. They started sewing burial robes for a queen who wasn't in them. And from a bolted country room, she was already writing to the one army big enough to take it all back. The sister on his back, the sister on his back. The whole town hunting for a queen and she's a peasant in a sack. They tore apart the palace looking high up on the throne. She walked right through the checkpoint as a nobody unknown. The sister on his back, playing dead to stay alive. You can't kill a queen you can't find. So she planned her whole revive. They thought a fire had ended her. They were already grieving. But a woman with a pen in a hiding place is never really gone. She sent one letter north to a power that owed her nothing and asked it to march. Track 10, the gate swings back. They're buried in a big coffin. And yeah. They buried an empty coffin. They buried an empty coffin and they called the matter closed. The strongman took the palace back and struck his winning pose. 40 days of running things the way he ran them before. He never saw the letter she'd already sent to war. Yeah, from a boat to country Rome while the capital assumed a gone. She wrote to a northern power and she told him to come on. The old man on the throne again was sure the fight was done. Counting 40 days of ruling like the war was fully won. But a queen who plays it dead is a queen who's playing chess. And the piece she moved was bigger than the barracks full of mess. She didn't need an army of her own to win this thing. She just needed a bigger one to owe her for the spring. 2 foreign forces landed with their flags and their demands. One to guard us burnt down legation, one to grab the land. The bigger northern army moved with code and total ease. They wanted the whole peninsula, they came to hold the keys. And the strong man who come roaring back to take his old command found a foreign general standing with an escort at his hand. No trial and no shouting, just an escort in the boat. They took him north as a prisoner with the general's hand at his throat. Back through the gate, back through the gate. They grieved her as a ghost and she walked in 3 weeks late. The strong man took a boat, he never once agreed to board. The queen who played the dead came collecting on the score. Back through the gate, no crown upon her head, just a bigger army at her back and a court that thought her dead. She came in from the country and the escorts march in line. The funeral robe still drying and the widow doing fine. The court that sold her burial gown went pale to see her stand alive and cold and calmer than the fire she'd outplanned. But the army that had saved her didn't save her for free. They planted their own soldiers and they set their own decree. She traded one hard master for a bigger one up north. That's the bill a borrowed army since the day it marches forth. She won't make no mistake. The strong man was a prisoner. The palace was hers again. But the price of a rescue is a debt you can't refuse. And the hand that pulled her from the fire never once let go. Back through the gate, back through the gate. They grieved her as a ghost and she walked in 3 weeks late. The strong man took a boat, he never once agreed to board. The queen who played it dead came collecting on the score. Back through the gate, no crown upon her head, just a bigger army at her back and a court that thought her dead. The strong man was gone, hauled north in a soldier's grip. The queen was home alive and holding all the cards. But the army that gave her the palace back was standing in the courtyard, and it wasn't leaving. One cage traded for another. Track 11, she catches her breath. Every rescue writes a bill you'll have to pay. Every open hand's a hand that means to stay. She got the palace back, but the price was in the fine. You don't borrow someone's army and still call the country mine. She won and she knew it, but the winning had a cost. You can count a throne recovered and still tally what you lost. The strong man hauled off northward, the danger seemed to clear. But the soldiers who removed them didn't plan to disappear. They pitched their tents in the courtyard, they set their flags up high. A foreign general watching every messenger go by. She traded one hard master for a larger one to feed. That's the arithmetic of rescue, that's the interest on the need. So she started doing what she always did the best, turning the bad hand into a game the others guessed. If the northern power held her, she would hold it too.
Lean until she learned to see it through. Feed the general dinners, learn the language of his court. Find a space between the empires where a small state can report. She wasn't free, but nobody who plays this game is free. Freedom's just a story that you tell across the sea. Some nights she'd think of 5 days in a small hang-on cold. Some nights she'd count the debts and watch the candle burning gold. The country wasn't hers the way a country ought to be. It was leased from bigger powers with an endless kind of fee. But leased is more than laws, and the lease is time to plan. And time is what a patient queen turns into a hand. She breathed the borrowed quiet, she let the courtyard rest, knowing peace on someone's leash is peace you still contest. The rest is not surrender, the rest is how you last. You gather up your breathing when the danger's moving fast. She learned it in the farmhouse, she learned it in the dark. The ones who pace the fire are the ones who leave a mark. So she took the quiet moment that the rescue left behind, and she filed away the weight of it in the corner of her mind. Every rescue writes a bill you'll have to pay. Every open hand's a hand that means to stay. She got the palace back and she'll pay the common toll. But a queen who plans in quiet keeps a fire in her soul. She had the throne, unknown. She had the peace, on lease. And in the borrowed quiet, she watched 2 empires circle, knowing the men she pushed aside were about to make their move. Track 12, the Tightrope.
Two empires in a courtyard, in the rope between their hands. One wants to own the harbor, one wants to own the lands. Fall to the left, you're swallowed. Fall to the right, you drown. So she walked the wire in the middle and she never looked down. The rescue put a big power's boot inside her hall, so she leaned on it and used it, and she answered every call. Kept the harbor-hungry islanders held at arm's length, played the giant's weight against them, borrowed all its strength. The men who dreamed of racing toward the modern shining state found the door she used to open had begun to shut like gates. She needed them to break. A strong man needed all that fire. Now the haste was a danger and she cut them from the wire. So the fastest of the dreamers started feeling the cold. Watched the seats get handed back to the careful and the old. She wasn't anti-progress, she was anti-getting killed. The reckless leap toward morning leaves a graveyard to be filled. But a hungry silent faction is a powder in the room, and the island power fed them, whispered softly of a boom. She saw it and she watched it and she waited on the wire, knowing men who feel forgotten will eventually light a fire. Tightrope, 2 empires down below. Lean too far on either side, and that's the way you go. She didn't pick a master, she just used them both for rope. A small state on a wire learns to balance or to grow. Tightrope, no net beneath the fall. She walked between 2 giants and she outbalanced them all. She broke the distant capital, she opened up a door, brought her Western powers merchants in the treaty to a shore. More players on the board, man, more direction she could lean. You don't survive a tightrope on the 2 ends you've already seen. An advisor from the far west helped her map another way. Acquire back channel opening she'd need for a colder day. Every wire needs an anchor that the watchers cannot see, so she planted little footholds across a widening sea. This is the whole game now, not winning balancing. A queen with no army of her own on a wire in a wind, keeping the country airborne, one careful step at a time. Tightrope, 2 empires down below. Lean too far on either side, and that's the way you go. She didn't pick a master, she just used them both for rope. A small state on a wire learns to balance or to grow. Tightrope, no net beneath the fall. She walked between two giants and she outbalanced them all. The sideline dreamers were done waiting for a seat. The island power was done whispering. And on a night with the banquet and a brand new postal office, the powder in the room found a match. Track 13, 3 days. Yeah. New postal office. New postal office, banquet lights. The wine is going round and the sideline dreamers pick tonight to burn it to the ground. A fire in the courtyard as the cover for the blade. 3 days of a revolution and watch how fast it's made. The banquet was the trap and the fire was the sign. And the dreamers cut down ministers along the family line. They seized the king and queen and they moved them in the night. Walled them in a smaller palace under foreign guard and light. By dawn they nailed their program on the walls for all to read. A brand new modern government, a fast and radical creed. Island soldiers at the gate, the dreamers running high. 3 days of a shining future underneath the autumn sky. But they made one clean mistake in all their racing plans. They cornered the one player who'd escaped through burning hands. Locked in the smaller palace, didn't lock her mind away. She got a message out to the bigger power that same day. Asked for the northern army, asked it soft and asked it fast. And worked the island envoy for a move that wouldn't last. Talked the captors into shifting to a wider, weaker ground. A palace you can't hold is a palace lost when troops come round. 3 days in October, 3 days and it's done. They lit a revolution and it died before the sun. The dreamers had the palace but the queen still had the phone. 3 days on a borrowed throne and then the throne was overthrown. 3 days in October, count 'em, 1, 2, 3. You don't outplan a woman who's already been set free. On the second day, the wider palace played its quiet part. Open ground and open walls put a target on their art. The northern army marched in with the code and total weight 600, then 1,000 pouring through the widened gate. The island guard was outnumbered, the dreamers' fire went cold. The 3 days shining future was a story never told. The ones who lit the banquet ran for boats before the dawn. 3 days of a revolution, and by the 4th they're gone. The dreamers fled abroad on the island power ships. The new world modern government, the curse upon their lips. A kindred paid in blood again, the family line was thin. But the queen walked out of captivity to feel the changing wind. She leaned and hard north, but now the lesson carved in stone. The fast and shining dreamers left the family overthrown. Another treaty, more indemnity, more foreign boost to hold. But she was still standing, still balancing, still cold. 3 days, that's all the shining future got. And the woman they'd walled up in the borrowed palace walked out of it holding the whole board again. 3 days in October, 3 days and it's done. They lit a revolution and it died before the sun. The dreamers had the palace but the queen still had the phone. 3 days on a borrowed throne and then the throne was overthrown. 3 days in October, count 'em, 1, 2, 3. You don't outplan a woman who's already been set free. The dreamers were on a boat, her family was in the ground. And she leaned so hard on the northern giant she could barely breathe. But leaning is a debt, and debts come due. And the bigger storm was gathering out in the rice fields. Track 14, she breathes before it breaks.
Count them in the dark, the ones who stood beside her and never made it home. Breathe before it breaks again. 3 days took the family that took her half a life to build. The dinner table faces that the racing dreamers killed. An uncle by the doorway, a cousin on the stair. Names she used to whisper now, just cold and empty air. She didn't scream the grief, she never made a sound. She folded every funeral like a coat and set it down. A queen learns young that mourning is a thing you do alone. So she counted them in silence and she turned it into stone. She reached out past the giant to a burial there across the snow. A whispered treaty northward that the giant wasn't meant to know. A foreign hand to carry it, a back channel of prayer. But the giant read the letter before the ink was there. The go-between was branded and the paper turned to ash. And the man she'd sidelined sailed back home to make a splash. One more door she'd opened quietly slammed inside her face. So she breathed and filed the failure, and she held a steady place. Ashes and rice, ashes and rice. You bury what you love and then you pay the colder price. She's counting in the candlelight the debts, the losses cost. Still steady, still standing, still counting what she lost. Ashes and rice, ashes and rice. The softest looking morning is the sharpening of ice. Out past the palace candlelight, the country's growing thin. The taxmen and the hunger and the anger closing in. A rumor in the rice fields of a fire about to start, and the old man in the shadows learning how to play his part. She heard it as a whisper, filed it soft, filed it slow. Another storm still gathering in the fields below. She let the Gayageum carry it one long and grieving line. A woman catching one clean breath before she's out of time. This is the quiet part, the part before the fields catch fire, before two empires march across her floor. One breath, that's all she gets. Ashes and rice, ashes and rice. You bury what you love and then you pay the colder price. She's counting in the candlelight the debts, the losses cost. Still steady, still standing, still counting what she lost. Ashes and rice, ashes and rice. The softest looking morning is the sharpening of ice. She caught her breath in the candlelight and set the grief down cold. Out in the rice fields, a match was already lit, and the old man in the shadows had found himself an army. Track 15, the fields catch fire.
Finally stood. Then the beat drops, and the whole country's on fire. Too many empty rice bowls, too many rigged accounts. A magistrate to skim the top in bigger and bigger amounts. The farmers picked the leader and they raised a ragged sign. A peasant army marching up the broken southern line. They called them bandits in the palace, filed them under threat. A word that means the eastern thieves, a name she wouldn't forget. But out beyond the paperwork, the fields were really lit, and the men who wrote the reports had no idea of it. And someone know was in it, someone shadowed, someone known. The man who wanted back his seat since they first took his throne. He fed the fire whisper, fed the farmers a design, a way to burn the palace down along the family line. A foreign invoice letter caught the plot before it grew. The king's own blood was stirring it and buying weapons too. So she read the board the only way a corner player can. Call the giant from the north and call it while you still can. The fields catch fire, the fields catch fire. The hunger raised the banner and it climbed a little higher. She called the northern giant just to hold the southern flame. But the giant you invite inside is a giant you can't tame. The fields catch fire. The fields catch fire. You can't unring the bell once you've handed off the wire. She asked the north for soldiers and the north came marching down. But a rival empire waited for that exact sound. A treaty they both signed said if one giant crosses and the other giant follows. And now both giants begin to armies on a soil where she had only wanted one. The island power grinning at the damage she had done. The peasants in the throne struck a truce out in the rain. But the giants didn't leave, they only dug in to remain. The rebels went back farming and the flag came rolling down. But the two invited armies wouldn't leave the border town. She traded one small fire for a standoff of the strong. Two empires on her floorboards where they didn't both belong. She played the only card she had and watched it turn to lead. The giant that she called on grinning coldly at her bed. One giant she could balance, that was always her design. But two giants in the courtyard means somebody crosses the line. She lit a small backfire to stop a bigger blaze.
and two empires took it as the invitation home. Now they're both standing in a courtyard, and only one of them will still be there by winter. The fields catch fire, the fields catch fire. The hungry raised the banner and they climbed a little higher. She called the northern giant just to hold the southern flame, but the giant you invite inside is a giant you can't tame. The fields catch fire, the fields catch fire. You can't unring the bell once you've handed off the wire. Two giants in the courtyard, and neither one would blink. The island power made the first move before the dawn. They didn't march on the rebels, they marched on the palace. Track 16, the gate goes down. Two giants in the courtyard, and the smaller giant moved. Not on the rebels, on the palace at dawn. Yeah. Yeah. The island soldiers didn't wait for treaties to be signed. They stormed the eastern palace gate and left the north behind. A mixed brigade at daybreak with the orders to occupy. They took the throne room hostage under a foreign morning sky. They pulled the puppet strings and set the old man back in place. A tired shadow of a regent with confusion on his face. The government they'd argued for came marching through the door, and the family that had run the land was running it no more. One morning tore the decades that a kin had spent to climb. The minister she seated all went down along the line. Exile stripped or scattered every cousin, every friend. The network of a lifetime hit in one heart sudden end. She dodged the burning barracks and she dodged the coup at night. But this time the whole board flipped and there was nowhere left to fight. No army answered to her now, no faction held the wall. The woman who'd survived it all was watching it all fall. The gate goes down, the gate goes down. A foreign morning marches on the middle of the crown. They kept the throne and emptied out the ones who made a stand. The gate goes down and takes a whole dynasty of kin. The gate goes down, woo! The gate goes down, woo! But the ones who fall the hardest are the ones who don't stay down. Yeah. She slipped the palace one more time. A hunted quiet ghost to a governor's back chamber. Won the province she trusts most. No crown, no guard, no ministers, no faction and no name. Just a widow in the barber room and the ashes of a game. The giants went to war for real across a broken ground. The island power hammering the northern giant down. And every treaty afterward just tightened up the noose. One giant beaten, one in charge, and none of it was loose. They stripped the titles on the paper, called the fall complete. A queen reduced to hiding on a quiet back province street. But paper isn't power, and a hiding queen still thinks she watched the winning giant, and she studied all its links. It beat the north, it took the prize, it grinned and it grew bold. And a giant with no rival is a story often told. So when the back province quiet, she began to count again. Who's left to pull the balance back, and where and how and when. They said the house was finished, they wrote it down, but the woman in the borrowed room was already reading the map. One giant won, one giant lost, and a queen with nothing left knows exactly who to call. The gate goes down, the gate goes down. A foreign morning marches on the middle of the crown. They kept the throne and emptied out the ones who made it stand. The gate goes down and takes a whole dynasty of kin. The gate goes down, woo! The gate goes down, woo! But the ones who fall the hardest are the ones who don't stay down. One giant won the war and stood alone above the land. And the queen they'd buried on a back street started counting its enemies. There was a third power far across the snow that hated a winner. Track 17, she reaches for the bear. The island won the war, stood alone, grinning at the crown. So she went looking for the one thing a winner still fears.
The island power beat the north and took the northern coast. The fat and frozen peninsula they wanted to hold the most. They carved it off the loser like a trophy in the snow. Puffed up on the victory and put it on for show. But greed inside a winning hand is easy to misread. You take the biggest slice and every rival sees you fed. She watched the island swagger while it toasted its own name. And she counted the 3 colder powers who didn't like the game. 3 empires read the map and didn't like the island's reach. 1 bear across the northern snow with 2 friends on the beach. They didn't fire a single shot, they just leaned on the door. And the island had to hand the frozen trophy back once more. The winner of the war got walked back like a child. A shining new peninsula returned the swagger file. And she saw it all unfold from the quiet of a room. Even a winning giant has a giant it can't groom. She reaches for the bear, she reaches for the bear. When the wind has grown too heavy, find the weight it cannot bear. The island took the prize and 3 colder powers saw. So she reached for the bear to make the winner walk once more. She reaches for the bear, she reaches for the bear. You don't beat the strongest hand, you find the ones who don't play fair. Out of the back province quiet, she came walking back inside. No crown returned, no army, but the winner swagger died. She pulled the island's ministers back out of every seat. Sat her own man at the table, made the changeover complete. A new head of the cabinet, a cold and northern tilt. She leaned the whole peninsula toward the friends the island jilt. The winner watched his puppet government come loose and fall away. And something in the island's eyes went hard and cold that day. The island did the arithmetic and landed on one name. The one who pulled the baron and unrigged their rigged game. Not a general, not an army, not a treaty they could break. Just a woman in the palace who knew which giant to wake. They beaten the whole empire when they couldn't beat a place. So the island stopped negotiating and it looked the other way. It looked toward a darker plan. A quiet man would run the hunt with the soft code name for a thing that must be done. She beat the winner of the war without an army. She just knew which giant the winner was afraid of. And the woman that dangerous, the island decided, was a problem you don't solve with paper. She reaches for the bear, she reaches for the bear. When the wind has grown too heavy, find the weight it cannot bear. The island took the prize and 3 colder powers saw. So she reached for the bear that made the winner walk once more. She reaches for the bear, she reaches for the bear. You don't beat the strongest hand, you find the ones who don't play fair. She'd outthought the winner of a war with nothing but a phone line north. And the winner decided a woman dangerous couldn't be allowed to keep breathing. Somewhere a quiet envoy started calling it a hunt. Track 18, they named the hunt. They couldn't beat her with a treaty. Couldn't buy her, couldn't scare her. So the winner of the war stopped writing paper and started sharpening steel. A new man at the island embassy, a general in disguise. He shut the doors and chanted prayers to soften up their eyes. They called him the praying envoy, a quiet monkish ghost. While down in the basement chamber, he was plotting who dies most. He drew the map at midnight with a circle around her name. A soft code name for a killing so they never wear the blame. A hunt, they called it gently, like a walk out in the cold. A hunt for one clever woman who had grown too hard to hold. They needed someone local so the world would read it wrong. So they dressed the crime in native clothes and sing a native song. They pulled the Tightrope regent from his shadow one more time. A face to take the story, a mask to wear the crime. They turned some palace soldiers, bought the men who guard the gate. So the record would say civil war and never named the state. A basement full of foreigners rehearsing a charade. A foreign killing costumed as a family masquerade. The fox hunt, the fox hunt, they gave the murderer a name. A gentle little code word for a cold and foreign flame. They dressed it up in local clothes so nobody could see. But a hunt still has a hunter, and a hunter you can name. The fox hunt, the fox hunt, a monk who wasn't praying, sharpening a nation's grief in a basement while displaying The palace tried to break the units, the Allen had turned. Disbanded bought battalions before the fuse could burn. But the order to disarm them only made the hunters run. They moved the killing forward till the disarming came undone. Not the 10th at midnight like the basement map had planned. The gate before the dawn with the steel already in hand. They dragged the mass face raging to the gate to play his role. And the quiet praying ember watched the hunters take control. Inside the inner palace on that cold October night, she felt the pressure change and felt the wrongness in the light. No army left to call on, no giant close to hand. Just the roam, two eyes wide open and the feast still on the land. She'd faced the burning barracks, faced the coup, feast every kind. But this was something colder, something patient, something blind. She didn't run, she never ran, she never learned to hide. So she waited in the palace for the morning and the tide.
They gave it a soft name, so the world would look away. A hunt as if she were an animal in a field. But you can rename a murder all you like. The woman it was aimed at knew exactly what was coming. The fox hunt, they gave the murderer a name. A gentle little code word for a cold and foreign flame. They dressed it up in local clothes so nobody could see. But a hunt still has a hunter, and a hunter you can name. The fox hunt, a monk who wasn't praying, sharpening a nation's grief in a basement while displaying. They moved the hunt up to the 8th before the dawn. And inside the palace, she blew out the candle and sat very still. The last quiet night she would ever be given. Track 19. Before the dawn. They came to her with gifts that week, smiling, bowing low, and she read every smile for exactly what it was. They showed up with the presents and the promises of gold. Alone they never honor and the peace they never sold. The praying envoy bowing with his knives behind his back. A costume of a friendship that was cover for attack. She took it all in silence, laid the gifts out on the floor. She's seen this play too many times to trust an open door. A smile before a killing is the oldest trick they own. So she thanked them for the kindness and she sharpened her own stone. Her people saw it coming, so the soldiers being turned. The bought battalions drilling and the bridges getting burned. They begged her in the shadows, slip away out to the east. A carriage in the darkness, live to fight another feast. Go quiet to the country, be a ghost away before. Survive the way you always have and settle one more score. The road was there and open and the horses stood and wait. One word and she'd be gone before the hunters hit the gate. Don't tell me to run, don't tell me to run. I've run to burning barracks and I've hidden from the gun. I balanced all the giants and I buried all my dead. Don't tell me to run tonight, I'll meet it here instead. Don't tell me to run, don't tell me to run. A queen who's done with running is a war that's just begun. She thought about the running all the years she spent in flight. The barracks and the coop nights and the endless hunted nights. The provinces, the back rooms, the disguises and the fear. A lifetime spent surviving just to end up cornered here. And something in her heart and that is softened long ago. A woman tired of ghosting through her life, she learned to know. If this was where it ended, then she'd ended on her feet. No carriage in the darkness, no more running, no retreat. So she sent the horses back and blew the offered exit code. Sat inside the inner palace with the spine and the stronghold. No army left to call on, no giant coast to reach. Just a woman and a nerve in every lesson she could teach. The hunters moved the night beyond the wall she couldn't hold. The plan already quick in the October air gone cold. She knew the odds, she read them and she chose to stay and stand. The balance, walker's final move, eyes open, empty hand. They offered her a way out. A road, a carriage, a life. And she looked at all of it and said no. Not because she couldn't run, because she was done running. Don't tell me to run, don't tell me to run. I've run through burning barracks and I've hidden from the gun. I balanced all the giants and I buried all my dead. Don't tell me to run tonight, I'll meet it here instead. Don't tell me to run, don't tell me to run. A queen who's done with running is a war that's just begun. sent the carriage away and sat down in the dark to wait. No more running, not this time. And when the gate came down at dawn, they took her life and burned it. Track 20. Watch what a name can do. Hey, 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 hey. Burn the bottle. Black out the record, bury the light. That was the plan. Wipe a whole life in a single night. This is track 20. Now watch what a name can do.
Came down at daybreak and the hunters flooded through. They cut down every guard who sworn there's nothing they won't do. They found her in the inner rooms among a frightened own. A man stepped up to shield her and was cut down to the bone. They did the thing they came to do, they made the country bleed. Then poured the oil and lit it, tried to burn away the deed. They thought a body turned to ash would end her and the name. They didn't understand the woman or the nature of the flame. They tried to call it native, tried to blame the family feud. They dressed the foreign murder in the costume cold and crude. But foreign eyes were watching from the embassies that night, and the killing of a queen does not stay quiet out of sight. A distant emperor heard it and recoiled at the news. The diplomats all whispered what the island stood to lose. The ash they thought would hide her was the thing that lit the fuse. You cannot burn a story that the whole wide world will use. GayaBap. You cannot burn a name that means light. GayaBap. 90 chapters of dark and here comes bright. Her name was Myeongseong and Myeongseong means light. They burned the woman down to ash and the name came back to fight. Fled to safety and he mourned her from afar. Then rose and named an empire, reaching up to touch a star. He crowned her in her absence, gave the ash a golden name. Raised the fallen kingdom to an empire all the same. The safe bride they picked for nothing, sure she never rise. Became the empress written in the ledger of the skies. The girl from the gravekeeper's cottage, footnote. Overlooked the whole world, learned to say the name the killers thought they took. They say the wind still carries it above the palace wall. They say the light she stood for never really burned at all. The queen they called too dangerous, too clever to awake the balance. Walking student of the downfalls kings can make. Judged hard and judged in kindness, every angle, every side. A footnote turned an empress that the ash could never hide. So put her in the record where they tried to leave her blank. A name that means the light restored and every debt she paid the rank.
19 chapters we called her the queen, the bride, the light. Because they tried to erase the name, so we held it back till now. Her name was Myeongseong. It means brightness. It means light. And light does not burn! GayaBap. You cannot burn a name that means light. GayaBap. 19 chapters of dark and here comes bright. Her name was Myeongseong and Myeongseong means light. They burned the woman down to ash and the name came back to fight. They tried to burn her. Light doesn't burn. Her name was Myeongseong. Now you'll never forget it. This was GayaBap.